Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Birds vs. Boys NFL 2024 schedule release prediction show. You have myself, Kmess, alongside my Eagles compadre, Aidan Powers. We are here to predict the Cowboys and the Eagles 2024 schedule in order. Obviously, we already know week one for the Eagles, which they will be in Brazil. And I will say, Aiden, putting my schedule together before we did this show, I completely forgot that the Eagles were playing the Packers week one. And I didn't even know if the Cowboys were playing the Packers or not this year. And I just penciled in the Packers week one because I was like, that is the most diabolical thing that the NFL could do to the Cowboys is make them play the Packers week one. Now, the Cowboys are not playing the Packers, so I had to erase that. How are you?
Don't worry, we got you. I'm great. This is oddly one of my favorite NFL marquee moments of the year, almost more so than the draft. I don't know what it is about the schedule release and guessing it. I just like Sudoku puzzles, and as the leaks trickle in, like for instance, we know week one. All right, so cross off the Packers. I can move on to week 2 and 3. Like as you get the rumors, you're like, all right, so it can't be this team. Like I know it's not going to be Carolina in week 12 because they're going to be in Germany. Like I can just.
See, I didn't even look at any of that, so I maybe.
I went too hard. There's a lot of scratched off as I started to make through.
Okay, I don't have Carolina week 12, so I'm okay here.
There you go. See, exactly. I hope you don't have Jacksonville week 7 because they
Not
are
playing Jacksonville.
You don't play in Jacksonville?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's our one AFC.
Yeah.
That's not the AFC North. But yeah, really interesting schedule this year. We play both of our teams, obviously, same division. So we'll play the AFC North. That's very fascinating. If you've listened to this podcast for quite some time, you know the tagline used to be, if this were an AFC North podcast, it'd be 15 minutes. So we're right back where we started. And then we've got the NFC South. So I think it's a pretty interesting mixture of teams this year that we both got on the schedule. I don't know if you want to go first, if I should go first, but basically week 1 to 18, let it rip. How's the schedule going to fall this year?
All right, let's go. I mean, Birds, Boys, but Cowboys, Eagles. So we're going to put the C up first. So I will, since we're the defending division champions, I will go first.
I was going to say that it's fair that you go first. You have the first place schedule this year.
It's great.
Go ahead.
So before I get into the actual schedule, I'm just going to up front give you guys the opponents that the Cowboys have this year. So at home, obviously it's a division, right? Washington, the Giants, and the Eagles at home. On top of the division at home, Cowboys will be playing the Lions, the Bucks, the Saints, the Ravens, the Bengals, and the Texans. Not your easiest home schedule. And then on the road, also not the easiest, the division, Washington, the Giants, and the Eagles. They then have to go to the 49ers, at the Falcons. Who knows when that game is? Maybe Michael Penix will be starting by then.
He might be starting week 1.
At the Panthers. And 2 toughies here at the Browns, at the Steelers. That all depends on when those games fall, ladies and gentlemen, if they are harder or maybe chance to win. So,
yeah, that's lining up like you might get a gauntlet like we did last year, whereas right in the middle of the schedule is 5 straight weeks of terror and chaos.
And I think I put a mini gauntlet in the middle of the season. So we'll see what you think here of my schedule. Let's fire away. So I didn't put if it's Sunday Night Football week 1 or Fox 425, but this will be a national televised game, I think. And like I said earlier, putting the Packers at week 1, the Cowboys aren't playing the Packers, but that would be diabolical. The NFL is all about storylines, right? That's why the Chiefs and the Ravens now, the rematch of the AFC Championship game is going to be week 1, Thursday Night Football. The Cowboys played the Buccaneers against Tom Brady a couple years ago. We just saw that perfectly aligning. Now, I could easily do what the NFL always does. It seems like the schedule makers in terms of the Cowboys week 1, besides the Bucs, kind of fall asleep and just pencil it in, aka the Giants. But I did not go there because I don't want to go there. Okay, I'm sick of playing the Giants week 1. Give me something new. Give me something fresh. Give me something spicy. And what could we do that would be spicy week 1 against a formidable opponent, a opponent that was in the playoffs, an opponent that you beat last year, an opponent that you beat in a very, very controversial way where the team is still talking about it. I'm going to put the Lions week 1. Cowboys,
what a start for the NFL.
Lions at home week 1. You want to talk about rumors. You want to talk about hype. You want to talk about everything. The draft was just in Detroit. The Cowboys bring the numbers no matter who plays. I think that in a primetime spot would do absolute numbers, Aidan.
That's a great first week for the NFL. AFC Championship rematch, and then you get Cowboys Lions. Whether, like you said, I believe Fox gets the primetime game week 1 because CBS got the primetime game last year. I don't know if it alternates like that.
Yep.
So again, 4:25 or 8:30, whatever it may be. That's a great one.
And you want to throw even more spice on it. If it's the Fox 4:25 game, that technically would be Tom Brady's first game.
I was going to say, so this is the Brady year, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So,
wow.
Fireworks.
You know they're going to win a game for that one. They're begging the NFL, give us a game for Tom Brady's debut.
Yep. Or hide us because we don't know how Tom's going to be.
Yeah, or that. Well, he was pretty good at roasting himself. Yeah,
he was. All right, so then week 2, I'm just going to throw in Washington there away. I think it's also kind of good to have them early because there's storylines there too, right? Dan Quinn, half the Cowboys team now plays for Washington. So it's basically they keep searching for a name. So why don't they just be the Washington Cowboys also? Like that could be their name because they took the center. They took all the defensive linemen. So I'm going to put Washington away week 2. Now, and they usually play Washington like week 14 and then week 18. Like, so, and you guys usually play Washington like week 1 or 2.
Week 2. So I almost, not to give my schedule away, I almost put them for week 2, but other things came about that made me not do that.
So I'm going to switch that up. Week 3, I'm going to go back-to-back away games here. And I'm going to throw the Cowboys a little bit of a bone here in terms of weather. I put the Browns there. Okay. Kind of have it up early. Hopefully both teams are healthy. So, that would bring a little more intrigue to the out of normal. I mean, I honestly can't remember the last time the Cowboys played at the Browns, but this will also be.
I was thinking about Cleveland in general.
Can't remember. So, but this will also be the Amari Cooper game, obviously. It's awesome. I still can't believe they traded Amari Cooper for, they get a 5th?
Yeah.
And then they traded a 4th for Trey Lance.
And then immediately, like Michael Gallup, who was supposed to be like somewhat of the replacement, is now gone.
Yep. He's with the Panthers now, right?
I think. Yeah. Or the Cardinals. Somebody who is random.
Or no, Raiders. See who the Raiders? Raiders. I think he's a Raider.
It was a random team. It was not the Giants or the Eagles.
I think he's with the Raiders. All right, so Lions home week 1, Washington week 2 away, Browns week 2 away, and then I'm putting the Saints at home week 4. This used to be like that, like big primetime game a couple years ago. Drew Brees was there, and the Saints were undefeated, and the Cowboys came into the Dome and beat them on Sunday Night Football. Their first loss of the season. I mean, it's not that anymore. So it's Derek Carr, and it just seems like a week 4 kind of game to me
so far. And you guys played on Thursday Night Football somewhat recently against each other.
Yep.
But you're right. That also had playoff stakes to it, which doesn't feel like this year.
Yep.
So far through 4 weeks, we do not have any obstacles, no overlap, which is good.
Love it.
Schedule makers are proud.
All right, week 5, second division game of the season. I'm going to put the Giants at home.
Ooh-wee.
This is I feel like this is definitely the latest, the first time the Cowboys have played them in terms of the last couple of years. They usually play them week 1, 2. So Giants at home week 5. We'll see how they are at that point. I think the Giants might be a little bit sneakier, better than people think. I don't think they're going to win the division good, but Malik Neighbors definitely scares the hell out of me. Back-to-back kind of whatever games. I'm going to go away at the Panthers. This has to be an earlier in the season type game. The Panthers are just not going to be good. Don't waste a late game on the Panthers. Just throw it there. It's a week 6 game. So
okay, that's
Panthers away week 6. Then the Cowboys come back home, stay in the NFC South, and play Baker Mayfield and the Bucs at home week 7. Is what it is.
Is what it is. But some of the games in the middle, like we're playing the NFC South, and you're just like, well, yeah, they got to go on the schedule somewhere. Like I was thinking that with some of these games, I'm just like, I got to put them somewhere. Like Atlanta, I was like, well, we've played them week 1 to start recently. We played them early. Like they got to be somewhere on here.
Yep. I'm then going to put the Cowboys bye week at week 8. A little early.
Okay.
Don't love it, but you might see why I put it there. So through 7 weeks before the bye, they have 4 home games and 3 away games. Pretty balanced schedule to start the season.
Yes.
Here it comes, Aidan. Week 9, coming off the bye, at the 49ers.
Ooh, okay. I'll wait for my schedule, but we got very close to aligning on what the plan was bye week going into something.
Okay.
Go for it. Okay, at 49ers. I think
this has been the Cowboys' kryptonite, their nemesis, their everything. So the Cowboys throw the NFL throws the Cowboys just a tiny bone here, giving them a bye heading into the 49ers.
Brother, you could have 2 weeks prep time, 4 weeks prep time, 4 years prep time. They're going to kick your ass no matter what.
Yep. So yeah, there's that. Week 9 for 49ers. Pencil it in however you want. Then they stay on the road.
Ooh, interesting.
Across the country to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That is brutal. So they go bye. Well, I guess they get the bye week before they do that, but man, that sucks.
So then they go across. Week 10 would be what? That's like beginning of November, right?
Yep.
So
week 10 is literally November 10th.
Okay. So we'll see. Could snow. Could still be 60 degrees. Don't know. But they're probably not guaranteed one of those blizzard games in Pittsburgh. But just absolutely back-to-back, just brutal Eagles from last year gauntlet. Going back and forth. And the gauntlet's not over, Aiden. They come back home, which is a good thing. But they stay in the AFC North, and now they're taking on the Ravens.
I thought this was our moment. I thought this might be where the Eagles come to play. That is brutal, though.
Mm-hmm.
That is brutal.
Mm-hmm. So away at the Niners, away at the Steelers, home against the Ravens. Week 12, we still haven't played the Eagles yet.
It's getting late.
And they're not going to play it here either. They're going to go back on the road, and they're going to play the Falcons. So somewhat of a reprieve from the former couple weeks, but you don't know. Falcons have a ton of playmakers, right? And if you're playing the Niners, the Steelers, and the Ravens, you're going to be beat up.
That's like our Seahawks game last year. It's like, yeah, they're not considered a Super Bowl contender, but I also don't want to play them coming off of a huge stretch of good opponents.
At all. So Falcons at home, away, leading into the Thanksgiving Day game at home against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, okay. Wow.
They played on Christmas 2 years ago. They haven't played on Thanksgiving in a little while.
It's true.
I think this would be hype. This would do numbers like they always do. They did play the Giants 2 years ago on Thanksgiving. So I think an in-division game here would be huge. There's a lot of hype around these teams. That is by far, I think, the latest that these two teams will have played their first game in a long time. But as you can see here, I'm kind of doing that late season. They're going to play twice within a couple weeks of each other, which we've seen the NFL do with division games. Next week, it's kind of that like mini bye thing, but the Cowboys stay home and they're going to play the Bengals. Could be a tough game. Joe Burrow, we'll see where he is.
I was going to say, when they're healthy, the Bengals, to me, they were sticking out. I was like, oh, this is tough. We're on the road with Cincinnati, too, so that's never fun.
Yep. Week 16. Oh, I'm sorry. Week 15 on the road against the Giants. So that'll probably be a cold, windy afternoon or evening at MetLife Stadium. Week 16, they come back home. Another division opponent against Washington. So they close out against Washington at home. Week 17, Christmas week, 2 Christmas Day game, doubleheader on Netflix. Could this be one of them? Yeah, the Netflix thing. Like, can we How many streaming platforms are we going to need here?
And on the next season of Outer Banks, the kids chased down the treasure in MetLife Stadium, and they found Jimmy Hoffa's body.
It was buried under the worst turf in the NFL.
No wonder everyone's getting injured. They're running on skeletons.
It's just unbelievable. So could this be one of the Christmas Day games? Possibly. But Christmas week, I think this would do huge on Christmas. Texans at home.
Yes. That feels like the most primetime holiday game of the year. Yep. 1,000%. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then away at Lincoln Financial Field, week 18 to end the season. Cowboys head up to the Eagles. Could mean everything. Could mean absolutely nothing at all. And that
I feel like they've tried that before, where we go to like their week 18, it could mean everything. Eagles, Cowboys, and it's like the 1 year where
that was Mark Sanchez started that game.
Yep. And a few years ago, where our starters played for one series, they got Devontae Smith the reception record for a rookie, and then we were up 14-0, and I think the Cowboys won 51-14.
That's you saw Tony Romo throw his last touchdown at the link. One of those.
That was another one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, and I think it was the Mark Sanchez. That was 2016. Dak and Zeke's for rookie year when they.
It
won,
was because they brought Tony Romo back in.
Yep. Yeah. So that is that. I think the most away games I have 2 in a row. I think 2 in a row is the most that I have, but I mean that from week 9 to week 13 being, I mean actually to week 14 at the Niners, home against the Steelers, home against the Ravens, away at the Falcons, but then home against the Eagles, home against the Bengals.
That's one of those, speaking from experience, you make it through and you're like, all right, we did pretty well. And then you're like, all right, well, there's no gas left in the tank.
Yeah. That's when, So playing the Giants away week 15, you just got no juice left.
Yeah. Just again, with the Eagles last year, after that gauntlet, they just had no juice. So hopefully the Cowboys don't fall to that same fate.
Yep.
I did not have a single overlap with you on that entire schedule. That is remarkable. That's good, though. Not one.
Huge.
Not one. So we did pretty well. I do think it's an interesting schedule. Like I said, a lot of different interesting teams. Like you said, I can't remember the last time the Cowboys played at the Browns. I know it happens every 8 years. It's just not sticking out in my memory.
Yep.
A lot of good games. Interesting schedule. I like it. I like the possibility you have on your schedule of us. Week 18. Maybe this is finally the year. Division on the line. Week 18 for the first time since the Kyle Orton, Brandon Boykin game.
I love it.
That is good stuff. All right. Would you like to hear mine?
Let's do it.
Okay. So real quick, I'll read off the opponents. Very similar. Division opponents: Dallas, New York, Washington, at home, on the road. The remaining away opponents are Tampa, the LA Rams, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and New Orleans. At home, again, Dallas, New York, Washington, as you'd expect. Then we've got Cleveland, Atlanta, Carolina, Jacksonville, Green Bay, asterisk on that one, and then Pittsburgh. So let's get into it right away. We know week 1, Friday night in Brazil. Friday Night Lights is going to feel like a high school atmosphere, but if it was just included in one of the best party cities in the entire world. So imagine like your high school team, but just in Brazil. That'll be the vibe to it. Week 1 in Green Bay, against Green Bay. This counts as a home game, which is interesting. After that week 1, which is technically a home game, you'd assume that they'd get another home game so they don't have to travel back-to-back weeks from Brazil and then have to get on a flight and go to another. You'd think, but here's where it's interesting. The Phillies have a home series week 2.
Oh, boy.
So that's really tough parking stadium-wise to have a conflict. 2 games starting at 1 p.m. both on Sundays. So either they have to play away, which they could because there's a lot of teams geographically close to them, not just within the division this year, but you could go to Pittsburgh, you could go to Baltimore, or just like that. But I'm hearing rumors, Monday Night Football. That would work. Ooh. It would satisfy the stadiums.
Okay.
Phillies have the stadium on Sunday. Okay. Monday Night Football for the Eagles. Week 2 is usually when they do the double header for Monday Night Football. I have the Eagles playing the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are a home team that we have this year, and it is they were part of the doubleheader last year. worked out well for everyone except Nick Chubb. Did not work out too well for him. So I do think that would be a formidable opponent. Week 2, Monday Night Football satisfies all of the obstacles schedule-wise.
Yep.
Week 3, the first true road game, I have them going to Tampa Bay. I think they'd played week 3 in the past, so that was fresh on my brain. Week 4, back home, they play Jacksonville, another team they've just played early in the season lately. And it's just like, all right, you've satisfied all the networks. You've gone Peacock, you've gone ESPN. At Tampa Bay, you're on Fox. A home game against Jacksonville. It's a 1 p.m. game on CBS. It's just, after a few primetime games, it's just nice to have like a 1 p.m. game against an AFC South opponent. Now, week 5, Thursday Night Football against the Carolina Panthers. Reason being, it turns into a mini bye. The only game they have on the schedule on the West Coast this year, the furthest they go, the LA Rams, week 6. Now, the reason why I put the Rams week 6, saw something online. Fox is pushing for Eagles at Rams week 6 because in college football, that's when the same weekend Penn State will play at USC. Fox has the rights to both of those games. They have Big Ten television rights. They have the rights to, obviously, the NFC. So Eagles at Rams. This would be just like a perfect blend for them. They're getting all the PA to LA people between Penn State fans. There's a huge overlap between
a lot of them out there.
There's a lot of them out there. That'll be 2 well-attended games and 2 like storyline games for Fox. I can see why they are pushing to have that. And I think the Fox studios are in LA as well. So it just makes sense. So you go Thursday Night Football, turn that into a mini bye, go on the road, only West Coast trip, week 6 to LA. Week 7, coming home, I have them playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Traditionally, we've just played them in October a lot. I just remember them being in that week 6 to week 8 range. If you remember the World Series year, they played around October, around Halloween, and Jason Kelce was wearing the Batman mask.
Was that when Chase Claypool had like 7 touchdowns?
No, but that game was in October as well. That was a week 5 game. And that was a few years back in Pittsburgh. But the point still holds. A lot of October games against the Steelers. Week 8. I have the bye. Just, feels right.
We have our buys the same week.
We had our buys the same week, and then this is where it's interesting because I thought you were going to do the same thing I did. Bye week, and then I have at Dallas. So again, just playing this. I think we even played week 8 last year, if I'm remembering correctly. And we know how it is. One game always ends up on Sunday Night Football. One game always ends up on Fox Primetime. That's just the way the schedule is always made. I'm assuming this game, week 9, November 3rd, this will be a Sunday Night Football game at Dallas. I come back the following week. They return home, but then they travel a little bit. We're going at Baltimore, week 10. So that is very interesting. You get the bye week, and it's like, all right, get yourself ready because you got 2 formidable opponents coming up, both on the road. So you go home bye and then 2 on the road at Baltimore. And again, that's just something you could flex that game 425 and it would be on Fox. Because if you're playing an AFC team and you're an NFC team, it ends up on the NFC television station, which is Fox. Another one, this is a good primetime matchup. Week 11, I have them playing at home versus Washington. Like you said, usually we're playing them earlier in the schedule. So this actually made it perfect sense with your schedule. You're like, let's change it up. We're going to play them early. And I was like, let's change it up. We're going to play them late. So this worked out very well between our 2 schedules. The following week, I stay within the division at the New York Giants. I had this one starred as some type of primetime game, Monday Night Football possibly, the return of Saquon Barkley to New York. I'm assuming this will be a huge draw, 2 huge media markets, and that return with that storyline, I think that will be great. Week 13, now, this is the week you had our 2 teams playing on Thanksgiving. I love that storyline. Definitely has potential there. I have something much less satisfying. I have them playing at home against the Atlanta Falcons. Just a standard noon game. Like I said, if they're playing at the Giants and it's Monday Night Football, I'm assuming they'd get a home game next week, and there's a standard 1 o'clock game. We move on to week 14 at Cincinnati. Tough plan at Cincinnati in December, but it's got to happen. This next one is a little selfish on my part. Week 15 will be December 15th. That is my birthday. I have that home versus the Cowboys. Everything else on my schedule strategically makes sense. I'm considering parking lots. I'm considering networks. I'm considering times. This one, I was just like, I just kind of want to play the Cowboys on my birthday.
Okay.
And we do play later, that second game in December, later in the season. It's usually mid-season and then end of season when we play each other.
Well, and we're doing this show on my birthday, so hey,
there we go. We'll come back to that. I thought it was your birthday, and I was like, wait, hold on. We'll get to that. Week 16, I have them at the Saints. We played them late in the season a few years ago. It was at home, this time on the road. Just again, not a crazy travel schedule. Aside from going to freaking Brazil, they go to the West Coast one time. The furthest they go beyond that is Dallas. So late schedule, if you want to talk about it, like New Orleans, not that difficult. Week 17, I'm going home versus the Giants. And then week 18, the reason I did this, I put them on the road week 18. They've been playing a lot of week 18s at home. This past year, they played on the road. But before that, they had 3 straight week 18 home games. That trend continues. I'm assuming they'll probably be on the road at Washington. And that's my schedule.
I like it. It's very realistic. You take into account flights and parking lots and people and college games.
Yeah. The week 2 thing, like just checking out the Philly schedule. That was another thing. So hopefully there's another red October with the Phillies. But if you look at October, I have them at LA. I have a bye week, and then November 3rd is wrapping up the season if you make it the entire way, and it'd be at Dallas. And I think they're really in October. They're there once, and they're home 9/29, and the Phillies are away. So Jacksonville, so it just satisfies everything. And the biggest thing will be that what they choose to do week 2 for the team. Yeah, like, do you want to give them a home game and make it Monday Night Football and give them an extended bye after being in Brazil? Or do you just want to be like, go play one of your short games, go to Baltimore? I actually had that and crossed it out. I had them playing at Baltimore. I thought that'd be like a cool 1:00 game, but it's like the A-list team for Fox. You're getting Brady. You're getting him doing a big storyline game again, back-to-back weeks. Like you said, he would get Lions, Cowboys, and then he would get Ravens, Eagles. Like, that's huge storylines, huge ratings.
Welcome to the show, Tom.
Yeah, welcome to the rodeo. I originally had Ravens and changed it to the Monday Night Football thing with the Browns. But all in all, really interesting schedule. Again, they go to the West Coast one time. The AFC North is really tough. The NFC South traditionally has been down, but again, our season ended in Tampa 2 of the past 3 years. So you can't really talk too much shit on them. It's a very interesting schedule. And a lot of teams we don't know, right? Like the Rams could be good. I don't know. I know that I feel like Dallas could be good, but they didn't do anything all offseason. We split all the time anyways.
The Bengals.
It's just so many. It's like Jacksonville. They're good, but Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Cleveland's good, but half their team got hurt a year ago. And we just talked on Atlanta. Another team. Who's their quarterback? Is it Michael Penix? Is it Kirk Cousins? Regardless, they have playmakers, but sometimes they just act like the Falcons.
The Panthers has the number 1 overall pick, going to play in his second year now. Bryce Young. Yep. It's going to be a very interesting schedule. Now the fun part is we keep our notes in hand. And when the schedule releases Wednesday night, Aidan and I will be together. We're thinking of doing a live program right here on the YouTube channel. And if you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do. We are growing leaps and bounds. Big thank you to Aidan for all the content he was pumping out while I was computerless. But it seems like I am clear and ready to go. We're back in the game. So make sure you smash that subscribe button, Birds vs. Boys, on the YouTube channel. And also, as always, following us everywhere on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Birds vs. Boys Pod, and of course, wherever you listen to full episodes of podcasts when you're driving in your car or working out with your headphones in, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you listen to those podcasts, full episodes are housed there. But we are planning on doing a full release show and literally checking off week by week and seeing how right or simply how wrong we were.
There's a chance we get 7 or 8 correct. There's a chance 1 week messes it all up and you're like, well, done. I messed up. Like I said, if I mess up week 2, the whole rest of the schedule could be wrong. So it'll be fascinating and we get to react. It's always fun to just predict in May what will be happening in September and October, and helps us, cross the bridge until we get to the real thing
and see how long the NFL Network decides to stretch out this show.
Yeah, they earlier and earlier they leak it, and then all the schedules get leaked anyways, and then you're like, oh, then they do a schedule reaction show. They gotta clean up the leaks, I think, this year.
They do. Now, before we get out of here, you and I each wrote down 3 teams that we think in the NFL will have the most primetime games this season. So since I went first, the other ones, would you care to have your 3 teams named?
Sure. The number one, I think this will be it won't even be close. I think the Chiefs will have the most primetime games. They are a ratings bonanza for so many reasons. They're the Super Bowl champions. They have the best player in the world. We're starting to do dynasty talk. They're back-to-back champs, and there could be a proposal on the table for one of their star players with the biggest star on the planet. If you were tired of it, I don't know what to tell you, because I think they'll have the most games. It starts first game of the season, prime time. The team number 2 that I had is actually the team that they're playing, the Ravens. I think the Ravens have a lot of opportunities to play on primetime. Again, first week of the season against the Chiefs. But they play the Steelers Sunday Night Football every year. I think there's a lot of good teams within the AFC North this year that will allow them the possibility to play primetime. And then they're playing the NFC East. Again, we just media market wise get a lot of primetime games. So they could be playing us in primetime. They could be playing you in primetime, and they're a good team. So I think you see the Ravens a lot. And then 3, I think the media chooses a darling team every year. Last year was the Jets. This year, I think they've already had it made. The NFL has been promoting that podcast that CJ Stroud and Micah Parsons have been doing together. I've seen him courtside at NBA games. I think the Texans are going to be the media darling team of the year. I think they're going to have a lot of primetime games. You mentioned them. Does this count as primetime? They might be on the Netflix Christmas special. If we're counting Netflix as primetime, yeah, count them in.
Hey, why
I think
not?
that's a classic. So the Texans, now, obviously, your team, my team, we just naturally play a lot of primetime games. It's the belly of the beast in terms of media markets. But those are my 3 teams.
So I did the same thing. I took out the Cowboys and the Eagles from my list. You could easily put the Cowboys there every year. Possibly they could be tied for the most. They will have a lot. But for the purposes of this, I didn't put the Cowboys in. So I am kind of in line with you. I have the Chiefs, number 1. I mean, Super Bowl champs, back-to-back. They are who they are, and they keep growing. They keep getting bigger. As annoyed as you can be, they're not going away. So Chiefs will be on our television screens, whether it's on cable or one of 17 different streaming networks that you're going to have to pay for or illegally stream. They will be there. Second team, right in line with you here, I have the Texans. I think they are the darling, like you said. We saw what they did in a losing effort in the playoffs, just punch for punch, what they can do once they get Tank Dell back. I mean, they had a really nice draft. I think they are going to be a very, very fun team. They're going to be the cool team, and they're going to be a very good team. So I can see a lot of Texans as well. And the other team I have for my 3rd is the Lions. They're another one of those kind of darling teams. That seems like the cool place to play. It's amazing what Dan Campbell has done in his 3 years there. I actually read something, Aidan, that shows they have the most former players on staff of any team. And that probably goes a long way in this type of NFL now, right? The NIL players, these players can relate to guys that have played. Mark Brunell is on staff there. Had no idea.
Did not know that.
Had no idea. So they have a lot of former players there in the coaching ranks. They have a lot of personalities there. Amon-Ra St. Brown now obviously just got paid. Damn it, I can never say Penei Sewell anymore because Vince is in my head just saying Penei Swell. He got paid. They have superstars all over. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to take just another leap in his second year. So I think the Lions are going to be on our TV screens a lot in prime time as well.
They were who I was considering over the Texans. I think it'll be close. And I think they'll get similar opportunities.
Yep. And I think we both agree a dark horse here is the Chicago Bears.
I do too. And given how the way that there's flexes now and towards the back half of the season, there's a lot of flexes. If the Bears are good with a rookie phenom, I think they would get more and more opportunities as the year goes. So you can see those flexes into Saturdays. Before we started recording, there was a report that NBC bought another Saturday game. That's a perfect Bears opportunity if they're good later in the season.
Yep, 100%. So those are our schedules. Those are our primetime players. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Make sure you tune in right here on the YouTube channel on Wednesday night during the schedule release to react live with us. Aidan, you got anything left?
Everyone comment happy birthday for Kevin. Today is his birthday as we are recording. Happy birthday, sir.
Old. 37. Feeling old today.
Oh man. You don't look 37 though. You look young, you look fresh. We both have colds, but apart from that, we're feeling good.
Can we do cold? What is that? What is the thing where you what is it called? ASMR with colds. There'll be somebody that likes that. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. We will be back on Wednesday night. Comment below your schedule predictions.
With a happy birthday to Kevin.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there.
There's no hope. Hope is gone. If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.